What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to Stoic Context. Today we are going to react to another Kevin Samuels video. Before we get into it, make sure you guys like and subscribe. I'm going to save my commentary for the end of the video, so stay tuned for that.
Evans, last name Evans. Camera at the ceiling. What do you got? Let me go ahead and unmute you. I'm going to go ahead and remove Pamo because you're not following instructions. And NE, I'm going to remove you too because you're not acting too bright, and I'm just not going to do it. I need you to, okay, Miss Evans, hold the camera steady and let's go ahead and unmute. Do that. Unmute yourself, please. Yep. Hi. How are you? How old are you? Do you have any children? Okay. What do you got for me on the topic?
I guess or my question is, because I completely get how like having children can, I guess, negatively or positively, depending on who you're asking. But for the most part, I can see how they could make somebody not want to marry you in the long term. But I guess what my confusion with your videos, even though I agree with the most part for what you be saying about single mothers and stuff like that, I know from what I see when women say that we be settling on certain aspects, I feel like that may not be the right word to use.
What's the
But I
ultimate?
guess
What's the ultimate question you have? Because you're kind of.
what should we expect, like, since you're saying that we shouldn't necessarily be
Expect from
expected
men?
to give a
Expect from men?
or a high value man?
What should you expect from men?
As far as dating, like,
Yeah,
what
I
should
can answer. Let me answer that question for you. You can expect no higher than what you got from the children's father. That's who you chose to make a baby with. You have one kid or two kids?
two,
By one or two men.
one.
That's the top bar. You can expect no higher than that from men because that's the man you chose to give the highest honor you can give to any man on the planet. Men do not want to pay more than the previous driver. You're older as a woman. You've reproduced. And name me a product on the market that gains value with use and age. It doesn't. That's why who you make a baby with matters so much. That's the top line. Also, when you said you can see how it could be a negative or a positive, depending upon it's rare. What situations would it be a positive for another man?
Well, I feel like and I'm not a man, so I can't speak from a man's point of view, but I guess I can imagine, like, for older men who may not have been able to have their own children,
They can buy.
it
Well,
may not be that big of a negative.
if they wanted children, okay, rarely. See, that's another utopian idea women have been told that older men who didn't have a child. No, if a man, especially a successful man, wanted to have kids, he could have. And just because they didn't have theirs, they don't want yours either. If they wanted kids, there are plenty of women who want to have children. Just like women say, you could adopt. But why would a man want to get to his latter years not having fathered any children and then want the financial and emotional responsibility of another man's children? That's hard. You're not young to be chasing kids around and dealing with that. But unfortunately, these are the options that women have after they choose to have a child out of wedlock, especially as you start moving up. But let me go back. Why, when I said that you can't get any, your BD is the top line, why did you make that face like, damn?
Well, because I feel like I was young when I had children.
What did I just say? What did I just say, guys? You cannot keep using this reason. I was young. First one out of my mouth. First thing out of my mouth is, you ladies got to stop saying I was young. It was a mistake. It was a learning experience. No, strict accountability. The world doesn't owe you or me an understanding, young lady. You have 2 kids, not 1. The world could even understand 1. It's an accident, condom broke, on birth control. But 2, that's a plan. What's the child's father doing?
I mean, not to go into too much detail, but it turned into an abusive relationship. So eventually I had to step away from the situation. We were engaged, but I kept putting it off for obvious reasons. And then something happened and I was like, we just can't do this no more. So I stepped away.
Is he still involved in the kid's life?
As much as he can be.
All right. So when you made that face, it was because the top line was a man that you don't think too highly of, apparently. And I can respect that, man, but I'm sorry. You're coming to other men in the world and saying, hey, I would like marry me and accept children with me from a man that I don't think too highly of. That don't sound too good. I mean, make it sound good. I mean, I don't sound too good to me.
I mean, when you put it like that,
that's the way it is. Good. Ma'am, when I asked you about your child's father, you winced like, ooh, that's the top line? Well, ma'am, the highest honor you can give a man is to take his seed into the next generation. The man you're supposed to do that for is supposed to man you have respect for, reverence for. You think enough of him to want to risk your life to carry his child, because you can die in this process, right? But see, that's the point. Today, modern women, we've civilized the world in general to where having a baby really doesn't cost you anything. You get pregnant, you assume you're going to live. You assume you're going to live. You assume the child is going to be healthy, and you assume that child is going to make it into adulthood, because men have civilized the world in general and damn near all but eliminated women's death in pregnancy. Infant mortality is at all-time lows. And if you have a kid, you can rely on the government to have some sort of safety blanket, even if it just comes down to if you don't use it. Food and that other kind of stuff. But then once you have that kid, the world is where it is. And you're out there in the world and you're out dating, and just like you, the men you want have options. That doesn't make you a bad person. But it does say that, do you have a son or a daughter?
2 daughters.
All right, 2 daughters. If you had sons, would you want him to bring home a woman with 2 kids from another man that she went with, or would you want him to start his own family?
I'm going to be honest. I would prefer him to start his own family. She made him happy, cool. But if we're going to be honest, you would tell your children you would want them to start a family on their own.
Well, thank you for being honest, man. And what I need you ladies to start understanding is every man you run into is somebody's son. Mm-hmm. And just like you would love yours, they love theirs. So I said it before you got on. In my personal opinion, women are going to have to find a far more effective way to explain why you are where you are. And it cannot be, I was young and dumb. It was a mistake. It was an experience. And why the relationship ended. It's almost predictable. We were engaged. Always women were engaged. And then all the relationship ended because of some form of abuse. I'm like, I have never met so many former engaged, abused women in my natural existence. Ever. But it seems like online, we seem to meet so many women who seem to have a similar story. To where, honestly, most men don't believe it. I mean, if I can be honest, most men don't believe the stuff that most women say regarding their children. Because we've heard it too many times. I hope that kind of helped understand why men look at it the way they do. That doesn't mean you can't win. That doesn't mean that life is over, but you got to figure out a way to explain it. And you have to find a way to make your children an appealing asset to the kind of man you want. You have to figure that out. You have to figure out a way to make your children an appealing asset to the kind and caliber of man you want. It's not up to him. It's up to you.
Okay.
All right. Hope that helped. Appreciate it.
This conversation is what happens when reality and emotion finally meet at the same table. She asked a fair question. What should a single mother expect from men? But when the answer came, it wasn't wrapped in sympathy or sugar-coated. It was plain, direct, and hard to hear. It's not just about kids, though. It's about choices. She gave the highest level of trust, not once, but twice, to a man she ultimately didn't even respect. And now she's asking better men to take on that burden without offering an equally high return. That doesn't make her evil. But it does mean she has to face facts. Too often we hear stories that feel rehearsed. I was young. It was toxic. We were engaged. And yet every man is expected to see past the history and build a future anyway. Meanwhile, men are asking, if you didn't protect yourself and your future before, why should I invest in it now? Her honesty, though, was refreshing. When asked about her daughters dating men with kids, she gave a real answer. She wouldn't prefer it. And in that moment, the entire conversation came full circle. See, men aren't being harsh when they walk away from certain situations. They're being selective, just like women are selective. The double standard is only shocking when it's held up to the mirror. And the truth is, that mirror doesn't care about feelings. It reflects what is. If you're a woman in that position, the key takeaway isn't that you're doomed. It's that the burden of proof is now on you, not just to explain your past, but to show that you've grown from it and that you bring peace, not problems, to a man's life. That's where the work begins. Anyway, what do you think about all this? Let me know in the comments. Give it a like if this was useful. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications for more content like this. I'll see you in the next video.